Hi YouTube, it's Kathy, and this is my weekly entertainment wrap-up for December 9th to 15th. This week I read 2 books, I watched many shows, I watched 1 movie, and I listened to 1 book. This is definitely not my normal setup. I am actually at my parents' house in their basement. I just woke up, haven't even put anything on my face or brushed my hair or brushed my teeth because I knew I was going to have some coffee. I pretty much just rolled right out of bed and went, I think this is the only time in the day that I can actually get this video done, so we're doing it now. So you're getting this beautiful backdrop of their lovely basement walls as well as some things my mom has painted, and I'm using actually something I got for the holidays, a little light to help the shadowiness of this corner, because I've got overhead lights and then I've got this tiny little book light next to me. So there's gonna be some shadows. We're really just improvising what I can do in the space. As for what I read this week, I started the week with This Is Kind of an Epic Love Story by Karen Callender. This was one of the 2 books that I didn't get to during the Queer Lit Readathon because 13 books on a 1-week TBR is a really good idea, right? I mean, I did a lot, but also 13 is too many. Given that I read Karen Callender's other book last week, I can't help but compare the 2, and I liked this one a lot more. Although this one still had some predictable moments, I enjoyed the plot a lot more, and it seemed less like I was getting whiplash, like with the plot of Hurricane Child. This one features a main character who is still in love with his ex-girlfriend when his childhood best friend moves back into town, and they haven't seen each other since something happened 5 years ago. You don't immediately know what. And this is an ex-best friend's will they or won't they type of love story. I was here for it. I was also here for the fact that most of the characters were queer and it was never an issue. For example, Nate's ex-girlfriend left him for another girl. Nate himself turns out to be queer, as is Ollie, the love interest. And we have no idea if Nate has really discussed the fact that he also likes men before, or if it's just something that happens throughout this narrative and people are totally fine with it because people are awesome. The other big element of this book is when they were children together, Ollie actually lost his hearing due to an illness. So as Ollie was learning sign, Nate was learning sign along with him and still retained a little bit of it, so he can still kind of use sign to talk to Ollie. Signing is also heavily described in this book, so taking the actions that one would use while signing and putting them right on the page. And I think that worked, but also I'm a hearing person who doesn't sign, so I'm really waiting for Rogan to finish reading the book and tell me what he thought of it. Because I know he has the book and I know he's going to be reading it, if not already, eventually. Because I would never ask him to do the work for me just so I could get his perspective. The other book that I read this week was the book that I also didn't read during the Queer Lit Readathon, which was Wandering Sun Volume 1. This one I found a little bit confusing, which is funny because when you get to the end there's a note from, I believe, the artist saying that most of their characters look the same, and that was my problem with it. If I can't easily distinguish between who's talking, it makes it very difficult for me to understand the story. Not to mention characters had very similar names and I didn't understand the honorifics, and I don't think it was explained anywhere. So there were points where people were using the words for the wrong gender when these children actually preferred that gender. And let me explain this a little bit. This story is about 2 transgender children in the 5th grade basically coming to terms with the fact that they are trans. One was identified as a boy and is in fact a girl, and one was identified as a girl and is in fact a boy. So the points where adults or other students used the wrong words actually made them very happy because they wanted to be whatever they'd just been called. Other than that, because I had a hard time following who is who, it was okay. I enjoyed it. There are many more volumes. I don't know if I'll continue though. As for what I watched this week, I didn't even give it a number, and you'll soon see why. But first, let's get the standards out of the way. Of course I watched some more Steven Universe because that show is so cute and I can't help it. Every time I watch it, I say I love him or I love her so many times throughout the show because the characters are just the best. We're into the 2nd season, so there's not really anything I can tell you plot-wise because there are so many twists and turns and I love it so much. If you haven't seen this cartoon yet, I highly suggest tracking it down. As for my other usual, we started the 15th season of Survivor, which is the China season. Usually at the very beginning of seasons, I don't have too much of an opinion of all of the people as a whole. It tends to be the ones that get the most camera time and are the most annoying are the ones that stick out to me just as somebody who needs to go, as opposed to me having a favorite as to who should probably stay. And because I watch 2 different seasons of Survivor a week, my brain sometimes forgets the cast that I am less familiar with and more so focuses on the current episodes. Speaking of the current episodes, my favorite person went home, and I thought I was gonna be okay, but one of the very last shots of the episode was just the torch had been snuffed already. All the remnants of the wick or whatever it is going out, so the like smoke just drifting off into the distance, and I was just like, oh, because they never show shots like that, but that was just like the saddest shot I've ever seen in Survivor. I really need this player to come back. I really enjoy this player. As for the other shows I watched, I'm not even going to try to count them because since I'm back at my parents' house, what do they have that I don't? Well, many things, but one of those things is cable and the Food Network, which I will just put on and watch all day long. Except for it tends to go on about a 4-hour cycle, so you realize, oh, I've already seen this episode earlier today. You kind of have to change it up or go do literally anything besides watch the Food Network. And I know it's very strange for me to watch the Food Network considering all of the shows tend to be based around things that I can't or don't eat because I'm vegan, but watching other people prepare meat doesn't bother me. So yeah, I don't know what it is about the Food Network, but it's one of those things I do when I come home every time is flip on the Food Network, much to the chagrin of my dad, who hates it, but tolerates it because he loves me. As for the one movie I watched this week, that was The Nightmare Before Christmas. It just happened to be on TV when I was looking for something other than the Food Network, and it was just starting, so I was like, fuck yeah, we're watching this. Of course my parents are right there. I'm almost 33 years old. I can swear it in front of my parents. It's great being an adult sometimes. So I turn it on, explaining to my dad exactly what it is, that it's a Tim Burton movie, but it's not directed by Tim Burton, blah 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 blah, and it starts. And the opening is very Tim Burton, the whole movie is very Tim Burton, and he's like, is this a Tim Burton movie? I'm like, yes. And then This Is Halloween starts and he's like, I thought you said this was a Christmas movie, and of course I gave the only correct answer, which is, it's both. Somehow neither of my parents had ever seen this movie, not that they're giant movie watchers, but I was just like, how did you not, with a daughter like me, see Nightmare Before Christmas before? I do not understand. This rewatch also reminded me that Jack has an amazing library and I want it. Onto the book I listened to this week. I picked this at random from the app on my phone and pretty much just kept listening to it because it was already on my phone and it was more effort to find something else. And because the writing was actually really good, but I should probably tell you what I'm going on about, shouldn't I? It was The Future Home of the Living God by Louise Erdrich. So the writing of this was beautiful, but also there were plot points in it that I wasn't sure if they were accurate, if that makes any sense. The premise of this book is this woman is 4 months pregnant when basically society finds out that evolution is going backwards, is the best way I can describe it. So people are giving birth to babies that are not Homo sapien babies. And basically worldwide the government just basically shuts down and like kidnaps pregnant women and sequesters them, and all of this strange genetic testing is happening. It was basically a nightmare situation. I had at least one pregnancy related dream while I was reading this book and I did not appreciate it. The father of the protagonist's child is also mentioned to be an angel, and then that doesn't come up again later, or it comes up like once when she says something to the effect of he had folded his wings in, and I was like, is he actually an angel? Are you being one of those people that's like, oh, he's an angel? Or like, I needed more to understand, one, if he was actually an angel or if it was just a turn of phrase, or two, if that had anything to do with anything. And maybe if the world wasn't so scary already, I would have enjoyed this book more, but because things are going down in the world that are scary already, I probably should have just picked a different book. Yeah, really could have done without that pregnancy nightmare because nope, no thanks. I have certain criteria that would have to be met before I would ever consider having children, and none of those are met, so no. And that's it. Have you read, watched, or listened to any of these? Let me know about it down in the comments below. On the way down to the comments, if you hit that subscribe button, that would be very nice of you. You can like and share this as you see fit, and I will see you very soon. Bye!